welcome to the Truth Temple podcast. This is episode 20. We're joined by Alex Gammons. He was an online fitness coach and a bodybuilder. So, Alex, just give us some background on who you are, where you're from, and what you're about.
Alex. I'm from down south, sort of Peterborough way, just in the middle of nowhere.
Right, okay.
Grown up in a very quiet town. There's not much there at all.
Yeah.
And then got into the gym from the age of like 13.
Right, okay.
Maybe like, 12 or 13. My mate took me in the school gym because I was very skinny.
Yeah, wow, skinny kids.
And he was really big for his age. Like for 13, it was mental. So he took me in, taught me everything I know from like the start. And then sort of from there, I just carried on training for the rest of my life. I haven't really stopped.
Yeah. So in terms of like you obviously said when you moved into the gym when you were 12, 13, like what made you go back? What made you like sort of fall in love with the gym?
I think just the progression. I think seeing myself change. It took a while. Took a good year, but having that person next to me that I started with, showing his dedication from his age, I just stuck with him. Like me and him just used to go to the gym every day. It wasn't even like a question of like, oh, I can't be bothered. It was just, oh, we're going to gym now.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always sort of seen it. I've sort of seen it as like, I'm just going to go.
Like part of like a routine.
Yeah.
Did you ever have like any troubles in terms of obviously like that, at that age? It's similar to when I first went in the gym as well. But I remember like growing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was struggling like with a lot of pains in my body of trying to do almost overdo it a little bit. Did you ever like struggle with that?
Oh yeah, I had really bad DOMs every day.
Yeah,
like I couldn't walk every day. Yeah. It was horrendous. But like, so the reason I got into I think the reason I carried on training was because when I was at school, I got bullied quite bad.
Right.
By this one kid. And then from then I was like, I don't want to be that person. Do you know what I mean? So it happened all the way through school. So from the age of like 12, 13 to 16. Yeah, 16. Yeah. So all the way through there, got picked on by this one lad the whole time. And it made me just wanted to continue going to the gym, continue going. Because like I was quite scrawny. I wasn't very like, I didn't have much. I had personality. Like I was confident, but I wasn't as I am now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that sort of like, I believe in myself. Do you know what I mean? That factor. So put in my mind to go into the gym and stuff like that. It was something that it sort of hurts your body and it pushes you physically because I wasn't mentally very like school. I didn't really care about like going to school, learning stuff like that didn't really interest me. So like pushing my body in a different way through the fact of like going to the gym, training, feeling like I'm actually gaining something, if that makes sense. Whereas when I was at school, I didn't feel like I was gaining anything. Even though obviously you're learning and stuff like that. It just didn't feel like that.
It just didn't feel like you.
Yeah, literally.
Like what differentiated the gym other than like things like sports and stuff like that? Why did you choose the gym over?
I did sport as well. So I played rugby from the age of 14, 14 till 17 or 18. But I got too many concussions, so I can't play anymore. So that's that's the reason I stopped was because of that. And then also the gym, I was competing in shows and then also trying to play rugby for my team because I was like the captain.
Yeah.
So trying to play rugby while you're on a competition prep was not the greatest thing ever. Like it is the worst thing I've ever done because you're obviously starving yourself. And then you're also going to play like 80 minutes of rugby. Yeah.
What was the turning point for you in terms of like obviously saying you didn't enjoy school, you went through and you didn't enjoy that sort of that side of things.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed more of the physical event. But what was the turning point for you to want to pursue the gym as like a career?
I think when I got to about 17, that was the first time I competed. So competed for the first time at 17, and I wasn't in shape. I turned up on stage. I was in all right shape for a 17-year-old, but it just sort of flicked a switch and I was like, I love this. Do you know what I mean? I've been doing this since I was 13 and this is something I'm so passionate about and I've enjoyed it my whole life. So like, why not pursue a career in it? Something you love and enjoy, why would you not pursue that? Do you know what I mean? Like I could go into any job and like at the moment I'm bartending, for example. I enjoy that as like, I try and separate it. So I see that as like just a bit of an enjoyment job, bit of money in, but then you have your actual passion like of coaching, gym, seeing people improve. And when I saw myself doing that, competing, I just had that hunger. I'm like, I see all these people on Instagram and obviously you get all of that sort of stuff. And it pushed me to go like, I really want to go pro. Like I really want to go far in this. And I'm not as far as I want to be at the moment. I think I could be a lot further if I didn't mess about as much when I was younger. But I've just got that drive for where I'm like, I will be something in this because that is what I love.
What were the key aspects that you really enjoyed?
I think, do you know what? I think it's like pushing your body to such an extreme where it's like, I didn't know I could do that. And every time you do it, you do more. So like the first time I competed properly was 2 years ago. And I was like, no, it was last year.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I've got really lean here, look really good. This year, I pushed. I didn't compete in the end, but I pushed. And when I got to about 6 weeks out or so, I was leaner than I was at the show last year.
Prior.
Yeah. So like knowing that you can improve so much and push so hard and see, I'm nowhere near what my body can do, like nowhere near. And like knowing that there's so much room to improve and go forward, that sort of is so engaging to me, where it's like, why would I not try and push that? And I just get a drive for it. I don't know.
Is it like an adrenaline thing?
I think so. I think when you're on stage, when you get to that level, like it is 100%. You get there and you go, look what I've done. And you look back at it. Like I look back three months ago at how shredded I was. I was like, how do I even do that? And the thing is with me is so in my off season, I'm very relaxed. I like to go to the pub. I like to watch football. I go to London and see Tottenham so much. And like, that's what enjoyment for me. But when I get to prep and shows, everything, I just switch. Like everything is hit at every exact same time. I hit my cardio, I hit everything. And I do it so particularly that nothing else sort of goes. Like, it's hard to explain. I sort of just get a feeling of like, I'm on this now. I've got 12 weeks. I'm not missing a beat. But then in my off season, I enjoy my life. And that's the difference, I think, me with a lot of other bodybuilders, is that in their off season, they're also 100% on it. And I can't do that. Yeah. I probably will in the future when I get a bit older, I'd have thought. But at the moment, it's like, I've got so much stuff to go and enjoy. Like, I want to go traveling. I want to go see places, but I also still want to pursue my goal.
Yeah.
So having that understanding, especially with coaching, you have like your lifestyle clients, which don't compete. You've got to have an understanding of how they feel about it. So you got to make sure that you're sitting there and going, okay, well, they're not as anal on me when I do my shows, but in my lifestyle, in my off season, they want to be like that. They want to go for food. They want to go out with their mates. They want to go have a drink. And having that understanding really helps, I think, like knowing that you do it yourself. And because if you're one of them people that sits there and goes, oh, you got to be 100% on it all the time, for lifestyle clients especially, they're not going to want to do that. They're not going to want to sit there and go, you can't go out and eat. You can't go for a beer. Yeah. You can't. No one does that, do they? Like, you want to go out for a drink or you want to have a bit of a laugh with your mates. And having that understanding, I think, really does help with the lifestyle side of things and the coaching.
So why did you become a lifestyle, like a coach in general? Why did you become a lifestyle coach?
I tend to stick towards lifestyle. I do some competitors as well in men's physique. But lifestyle for me personally is like, people don't know where to go. Like when I started, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know where to go. And you just need a little bit of guidance, do you know? So like with some people that have been to the gym for a couple, maybe even 2 years or so, they just want to go, okay, well, I've been going 2 years, I enjoy it. Where's the next step? Do you know what I mean? Making that progress, but making it a bit more optimal, a bit more worth your time. So if you're going to the gym for an hour and a half, you want to get the most out of that hour and a half. And like, if you're doing the gym every day and you're looking at yourself and you're going, not much is changing here, there's got to be something that's not going on. So helping them people go from, oh, I was this weight, but I couldn't put on muscle. And it's like, well, why? And then helping people understand that. And even if they then leave and then go off and do it themselves, I've done my job.
Yeah.
I've done my job of helping people understand the gym. And especially with social media now, if you go on Instagram, TikTok, anything, it's all about like, oh, you have to be optimal, you have to be this, you have to be that. Think about the guys in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? And all of that.
Nothing was optimal.
No, they're just going around lifting heavy weight.
Chains and
stuff.
Literally.
Like they're just having fun with it. Like Arnold, we used to spend hours in the gym.
Yeah.
Hours.
And half of it was probably pointless.
Absolutely. Yeah. But if that's what he enjoyed and that's what he got out of it, why not? Yeah.
So obviously if you're doing it in the online sector, how do you identify where people are going wrong? Like do you talk to them over a video call? Like do you meet up with them? Like how does it work exactly?
So there's multiple ways really. So you have like training clips and you can analyze. So you get them to record their sets and stuff like that in the gym. And then they send it to me. I'll analyze it, send them. It's like Loom. I don't know if you know what Loom is.
I've not heard of it.
So Loom is like, it's like you screen share on your laptop or whatever.
Right.
So you can see, they can see what they're doing, like the video, and then you're pointing. Yeah, and you can see it as well. Yeah. And you're pointing out, you got your little face cam in the corner and you're pointing out, okay, well, here is what you should be doing. And then you can sort of show them as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Online through the video camera.
Right. Okay.
And then also they do like a weekly check-in. So they check in once a week. Some people check in more because they just feel like they want to get more out. Do you know what I mean? Like understand it a bit more. So you have some people check in once a week. They send you their weight, how their week's been, how their sleep's been, digestion, everything. And then I'll do a Loom video back of, they send progress photos over as well. And then you just look at all of that and you explain to them, okay, well, if this is how it's going, say your digestion's struggling a little bit or your sleep struggling a little bit, are you eating too late, close to you? Like you ask them questions to understand what they're doing. Okay, you had one bad night's sleep this week. What did you do different? And helping them understand that, I think is a massive thing, like helping them understand why that's happening.
Right.
So it's more about that's the thing with online. It is very different to like PTing, but I think PTing is going very, people don't want to pay 40 quid a session. Like £40 a session is expensive.
Yeah.
If you have like 2 of them, that's 80 quid. And then like online coaching is a lot more affordable, I think, for people that just want to have a better understanding. And sometimes they don't want to train with people. Sometimes they just want to go in the gym.
They just want to know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
They just want to go into the gym and go, okay, I'm doing this today. And then every week they get an update. They go, oh, what's different this week? Sort of like when I get coached. So when I get my check-in, I go, okay, what's changing this week? Oh, your food's going up. Or you get an extra off-plan meal this week, sort of thing. All depending on your weight and how you're feeling or what position you're in. If you're losing weight, gaining weight, what you're doing. Especially in like, if you're losing weight, a lot of people don't understand is that you can dig to the very bottom, but you won't be getting anything out of it. You'll just lose muscle.
Yeah.
Especially if you're natural, like pushing so far, you can for competition preps, obviously, but for a normal person, like if they're pushing really hard and they're like, oh, my weight's not dropped in 2 weeks. Why hasn't your weight dropped in 2 weeks? Because you're pushing so hard, your body's so resilient to it all, we'll give you a refeed. So you give them a refeed, bit more food, bit more calories. And then what you'll notice a lot of the time, 2 days after, day after the water's dropped off, they drop like 2 kilos.
Yeah, they lost weight.
Yeah.
Even though they've eaten.
Yeah, so that's what confuses a lot of people. They think, oh, I need to eat less all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah. And I think also with a food standpoint is people don't understand how important micronutrients are and stuff like that. So they look at the calories and the protein, if you're tracking food or whatever, and they track that and they go, oh, I'm not feeling too great or something like that. And I'm like, well, if you just macro track and you don't follow a food plan, what food are you eating? Like, if you're eating food that has no, like, if it's all fat and all like, you know, like Mackies and stuff like that, it's okay in moderation. But if you're eating like one of them a day, your macronutrients probably aren't being hit. You're probably not eating your greens. You're probably not having stuff like that. You're not eating your veg. You're not having all these little micronutrients that will then help you further on and like get that extra 1%, you know? Because that 1% after a year is 365% of 1% every day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it really does add up over time. Like I have a friend called Jack. He is everything to a T. He does everything to a T every day. And you can tell. Like, you can tell that man does not miss a beat. And it's because he hits everything every day, recovers well, and like does everything. And all them 1% add up. No matter if you're natural, enhanced, whatever, it will all add up. Like, especially you don't realize, as you say, see all these people on steroids or whatever, which is 98% of the fitness industry now. You'll realize that, yes, they're on steroids. And you can tell a lot of the time. A lot of them either they're on steroids and they don't look that great because they're not actually doing everything else.
They're just taking steroids.
Yeah, taking steroids, going to the gym, probably not eating, probably going out and getting drink, probably doing other drugs on the weekend, do you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And you can tell from their physique, you can just tell. But then you see the other people and then they're like, look freaky. And you're like, that's probably because they're doing everything 100%. And it does make such a big difference, I think, like having these people understand that these 1% do add up.
Yeah. So obviously you're talking about quite like elitist performers there, but if you had someone but like who was a complete novice come up to you, what would be the first key tip that you would offer them on this sort of journey of improving their lifestyle?
Like if they went to, like, never been to the gym before.
Never been to the gym before.
You got to strip it down to the basics. You got to go to the gym, and if they've never been, the way I would do it is I'd probably say I watched a lot of YouTube as a kid when I first started. Watch YouTube videos on people training. Watch these high-level athletes train. Like your Chris Bumsteads and all of these people. They train well, but they do what they enjoy as well. So if they have an exercise, this is what I always say to all my clients. If you have an exercise that you enjoy, I'm not taking that out. Unless it's going to really unless they're ego lifting their deadlift. Yeah. Exactly. If they're doing stuff like that, then I'll have to sort of intervene. Yeah. But if they enjoy, I don't know, bench press. Do you know what I mean? Like a barbell bench press, traditional. And yeah, you can probably get injured from it. But if they enjoy it, do it. Who cares? Yeah. So many people nowadays, they sort of overcomplicate everything. And if it was someone new, I would just be like, keep to the basics. You do a full body 3 times a week. Do you know what I mean? Keep it easy. A couple of sets on each body, because otherwise your body's you can't do a push-pull legs with someone that's just started. Because 6 times a week training, and then they're not going to recover. By the time you've hit your pull in the first week and then you pull the second time of the week, they're still going to be hurting.
Yeah, if I'm the same, yeah.
So, especially with people that have never trained before, you've got to be very open to understanding that their body's going to be like, what's going on? You've got to sit there and go, okay, well, let's break it down. Let's go 3 times a week. Nice and simple. Let your body recover, because that's the key thing. You can do as much exercise as you want, but if your body's not recovering, you're not growing muscle or you're not losing weight, because your body's just it would be drained. You'll have no energy. You'll be tired. Your body will just you won't feel healthy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you're saying I think it's important what you said there, try and do it to the point where you're enjoying most of what you're doing. So then you're going to obviously sort of keep to it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But what kind of balance would you have? Would you in terms of from a percentage point, how much % would you have them doing where they enjoy it versus how much versus where they do a sort of
making it optimal, making it worth doing. Yeah, of course. Well, I think it depends. So for a session, I'd probably say stick one exercise you love in there. You probably enjoy a lot of the other exercises as well. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. It's one of them. And if they don't, they'll tell me and I'll change it to something else. If they don't enjoy it, we'll just keep finding until we find something that they do enjoy. Yeah. But a lot of the ways you can do exercise and stuff like that is still going to build muscle. No matter what you do, you get all the old people that do fucking 4 sets of 15. It's not great, but
it's doing something.
It's doing something. It's going to make you grow. You're still gonna, there's a famous men's physique athlete called Ryan Terry. He won the Olympia last year. His training is 4x15. All of his training is 4x15, and you sit there and you look at all these other people. You're he probably doesn't care because he's Mr. Olympia. Let's be honest. But a lot of people sit there and go, "What is he doing? Why is he doing that?" But then he's Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What are they doing then?
The other people?
Yeah, 4 by what?
They do so they do this thing called back off and working sets. Right. So you do 2 sets of working.
Yeah.
So you warm up and then you get to your 2 working sets. You do your top set and your back off. So your top set's probably 6 to 8 reps, and then you do a back off, which is 12 to 15 on a lighter weight. Okay. Instead of doing 4 sets on similar weight.
Yeah.
So that's what the optimal people do. So, and I agree. I think that does have its place. So I think at the start of a session is the way I do it personally, because it's what I enjoy. At the start of my session, I'll do a top set back off for probably my first main compounds and stuff like that. But when I get to something that, I don't know, arms or biceps, triceps, stuff like that, I'm not going to do a back off and a top set. It's not enough volume for my arms.
Yeah.
And other people realize that is that probably with different people, you have a top set back off, they won't enjoy it, they won't feel it. So they will go to the gym the next day and be like, it doesn't hurt. Okay, we need to add your volume up a little bit. So you make it 3 sets. But some people will do them 2 sets and they'll be absolutely fried. It just depends on your intensity, which is the biggest key thing in training completely. Because if you don't train intensely, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
I think that's the main factor that people don't realize is you can do whatever you want as long as you have that high intensity. It doesn't matter. You have people doing the 2 sets, they don't do it hard enough. So it's 2 sets of, oh yeah, push that weight, but you didn't see the last rep, then really struggling. But a lot of people on Instagram, it's all oh, I'm pushing, but they're not. It's all for Instagram. You'll be able to tell when people are pushing. They'll be with all the faces and that, but they could do 3 more probably realistically. But it comes across on Instagram that loads of people in the bodybuilding world know it. They can see it from a mile off. Yeah. You see the people in the gym and they got loads more in the tank.
Should you always train because? Well, I'll ask you the question first before I give my personal opinion. But should you always train until failure?
I would say it depends what type of failure you're speaking about. So, like form failure or
Muscular failure.
Muscular failure. No, then. Because I think form failure and muscular failure are very different. So, like, as soon as your form stops dropping off, you then incorporate in other muscle groups or whatever. That's not what you're intending to grow. This is on the more elite side of things. I think there's a place and time for both of it. Like, you do your top sets, you do that. You get towards the end of your workout, and you get a couple force reps which is obviously beyond muscular failure. I think it is good in proportion, like if you're not doing it every set is so stupid. Like, but as long as you're getting a little bit, like at the end of a session and you want to just, do you know what I mean, like whip some weight up and then get your mate to help you do a couple more, absolutely. But no, I don't think I don't think you should personally. If I'm honest,
it's something interesting. Like, it's something I've always like done. Like, so like I normally do 4 sets of everything, but I keep it at 12 reps. Because that's like the optimal for hypertrophy. And I'm quite naturally bulky, so I don't want to do too much low because I get too muscly. So I normally do the 3 sets, and then the last one I'll always do as many as I can. But it'll never be more than 13, 14 because I have the weight right.
Of course.
So it's like it's not like I can do 18 because the weight's not hard enough. But I'll always try and do that extra 2 at the end to try and fail, but
with a bit past form and you just slinging it.
Exactly.
I completely agree. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Good to know I'm doing it. Not too. So obviously, like you talked about some like tips and tricks for people starting then. But what are some of the common things where people go wrong? Like, what are some of the things, like some excuses that a lot of people starting out on this lifestyle have at the start?
I think excuses wise is like, they see it as it is an option. Like, it's the way I see it personally, and I think this is what people need to sort of ingrain in themselves if they want to be fitness freaks and they want to be health and stuff like that. It's not a question of, do I go to the gym today? I'm going to the gym today. You have your set rest days. Sometimes you do feel ill, for example, but I feel like people feel ill too often. They feel like, a bit tired today, I don't want to go. And you'll get to the gym, you'll love it. But a lot of people won't even get to that point. They'll just go, I'm not going to go.
Why do you think it is? Like I've even had it myself. Like, I don't particularly like love the gym. Like, I can't, like, it's a love-hate thing where like, but I know the benefits once you've been to the gym and once you've got out, you feel great. But why do you think it's like a reset button every day to the point where you wake up and it's like, oh God, another one of those?
I think sometimes with stuff like that, people don't, a big thing in bodybuilding especially is deloads. So a lot of people don't do that. So you'll have a week off, no training, nothing. Keep everything the same, just don't train. And I think people don't do it. So what they'll do is they'll burn themselves out, and then they get in that cycle of, I'm absolutely done. Like, I'm done. I'm not going to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't enjoy it. It's because you haven't given your time off. So, like, for example, if I go on holiday, I'll probably do a little bit in the morning, but I'm not pushing anything crazy. Like, I'm just there for a little bit of blood in the like making myself feel good in the morning. But I take it as sort of like a full-on rest. Like, I go out, enjoy the beach, enjoy the food, enjoy everything, and just sort of fully reset. And I think a lot of people, especially even if you're at home, they just carry on. And I feel like sometimes they need to sit there and go, okay, I probably should take a week off now. And I feel like people don't do it enough. I feel like people get in that cycle of like, okay, I'm absolutely battered. I'm so tired. I'm so ill. I don't want to go to the gym. You go, okay, well, I've been training for the past 2 months straight. I've had rest days, obviously. You have your rest days. But you've been training 2 months straight. Probably take a week off. Or even 4 days or so, like Monday to Friday. Just take your Monday to Friday while you're working off and just relax. Just let your body recover. Focus on yourself. Focus on eating healthy foods, getting a good amount of sleep, and then go back to it with a new mindset. Like, it's a mental game, massive mental game. You just got to go, okay, I'm back now. I feel good. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will sit there and they'll go, oh, well, they're like, don't want to carry on because they've hit that point and that wall. And they think having a week off's not what they should do. They think, I need to go. And I think people need to take a step back and just sort of relax. It's not that deep. You have a lot of time on this earth. A week is not going to kill you.
So obviously you talked about like the mental game there. Like, what are some of the things that the gym taught you personally?
It's resilience and just being dedicated to everything you do. Like, it's a massive thing for me where I'm dedicated to the gym. I have been since I was a kid, and that's why I'm in the position I am now at 21, because I've not stopped. I've obviously had deloads, had all of my rest, but mentally, I don't see it as like, oh, I have to go to the gym now. I'm going to the gym now. I want to get big. That's the way I see it. And like, if that's the goal, why would you not do it? Yeah. I think that's the thing mentally for me. And it's helped me in all my other rest of my life. Like with work, with other things like that. It's not a case of, oh, I don't want to go to work. Well, I have to go to work. You have to go to work. So you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
You might as well sit there, put a smile on, have a laugh, and just chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on what like you do in life, like in your job, if it's stressful and stuff like that. I do understand that. But you got to try and sit back and mentally go, let's enjoy it. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you just got to push past that and go. And if you're in a bad work environment, or like even in life, and you're in a certain situation where I was a couple of weeks ago, I walked out of my job, had no plan on what I was doing. I was so mentally drained from my job. I just walked out, went on holiday for 2 weeks, and then came back and I was like, okay, let's go again. Let's reset. I'm happy now. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm in a good place. Let's start somewhere new. And I think people get stuck in that trap of, oh, I've got to stay here. I've got to stay. I've got to stay. It's my job. Look for somewhere else. Look for a new environment, a new place. And you will find that new place and you'll be a lot happier. But then also sometimes I think people take it for granted. What they have is that so there's two ways. Like there is a situation where you are actually in a bad place, or you're making yourself feel like you're in a bad place. Because a lot of people mentally just go, oh, I'm not cut out. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate everyone here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you get in that place where, oh, this person's done this today, and it gets very toxic in your head when a lot of things haven't even happened. Like you'll be in work and something will happen, and then you'll be like, go home and speak about it. And why are you speaking about it at home? You're at home. You're away from that. That's long gone. The next day, come in fresh. Be happy. Be positive. And I think that's a key thing for me is like positivity within the gym has helped me keep consistent in the gym.
Right. Okay.
Seeing that side of things where I don't deep things, just try and enjoy it. You got to do it. For me personally, I have to do it because that's what I love doing. But like with work, you have to do it, don't you? You don't have a choice.
How important do you think it is for people's mental and physical state, like keeping active and keeping healthy?
Massive. If I have a bad day at work and then I go to the gym, I feel great. Or for example, if I wake up, I feel like I've got work later. I don't want to go. I can't be bothered. Go to the gym. You get that energy boost from it. And people like, I don't think they realize how big of a mental thing that is. You've been to the gym, you've had a sweat, you feel good, you get back, you shower, rather than just sitting in your bed. Like if you sit in your bed, you scrolling TikTok, watching YouTube or Netflix or whatever, you're sort of in that thing where it's comfortable, isn't it? You're comfy, you're in your comfort zone, you don't want to leave. Yeah. But if you go out and you go to the gym, you get active, get going, your day just flows. Otherwise, it's if you wake up and you don't get going straight away, it's very hard to get out of bed. Yeah. It's very hard to get going. And I think that's a key thing for people is that if you go to the gym or you go out and exercise, even if it's a run or anything, get you out of the house, go for a walk in the morning. It gets you in that sort of flow where you're going, okay, I've gone for a walk, breakfast now. Oh, I'm going to go out into town before I go to work. Just, it gets your day started where you're in a positive mindset. You're not sat in your bed dwelling on everything. Because if you're sat at home and you've got time to think, haven't you? Especially if you're by yourself. Yeah. You just sit there and think about everything that's happening. And that's the worst thing to do. Because you overthink things and you just get to a point where you're like, you probably end up getting like, you work yourself up to a point where you get a bit anxious and a bit like, oh, I got this, I got that to do, I got this to do. Just do it. Just go and get it done. Like I'm very bad for that sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Where I sit there and I go, oh, there's so much to do. I sit there and I go, it gets to like 10 o'clock and I'm like, I haven't done anything yet. This is not good. I could have done it all by now. So that's one of the things that I've struggled with in the past. But getting past that where you start a routine, having a routine of going, okay, going to get up, do this, do this, do this, do this. It is so beneficial. Yeah, it builds like that momentum, doesn't it? If you like this video so far, don't forget to drop a like, comment and subscribe at Truth Temple Podcast.
I feel like the gym for me was always like a momentum thing. Once you'd done that, it set up the rest of your day well to go and conquer other things. Whereas when you didn't go to the gym, you almost felt like you were chasing the day, almost of like, trying to catch up with it sort of thing.
Literally. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But
go on.
I just completely agree. I think the routine is so key. Like when I'm in a routine, that's what I notice when I prep for shows. I'm in such a routine. It feels amazing until the end when you're getting like peeled and you get into a point where it's like everything hurts and you're tired. And at that start, when you start losing the fat, which you've been indulging a bit too many Mackies or Five Guys. I do that.
Yeah, we're on the Five Guys.
Five Guys is horrendous. I love it so much. So like when you sort of get in that routine and you're sort of like, okay, I'm doing cardio every morning whenever you wake up. You do it fasted. You come back, you have your breakfast. You do that every day. I wake up every day. I've got to do this. Do it. Feel great. You feel amazing after it. You shower, you feel good. And like, for example, if you're just a normal person, doing like 10, 15 minutes in the morning for a walk, it just sets you up for that day where you're out in the fresh air. Because a lot of people don't go in the fresh air anymore. They just sort of sit inside. So, and I think it is a massive thing. My girlfriend especially, she hates being inside. Hates it. I love it. But she forces me to go out, and then I come back and I'm like, I'm happy I did that. Yeah. I'm happy I went for that walk. It is 15, 20 minutes. Nothing in your day, is it? Yeah,
I've read loads into this of like, it's like the sense of achievement. When you have that sense of achievement in your life, even just doing things like chores and stuff like that, sort of like a lot of the time I've been prone to this in the past, like even when you had like an untidy room or you've not made your bed that day and there's a few things around the room that aren't right, when you've done it you feel like great, and then you go for a walk, and even just it's like a small achievements build like that momentum that we were talking about throughout the day. So obviously when you're like sort of cutting weight for your bodybuilding competitions, what does the process look like? So like walk me through the start to the finish of that process, like how long is it, etc.
So I tend to do mine quite short in comparison to other people. My recent one that I did this year, well, I didn't finish. I started later. I did 16 weeks this year.
Right.
And then last year I did 12.
Right.
So I start off quite intense, quite heavy. And the way I see it is, and the way a lot of people see it, I think it's the best way to do. If you go out the gate, absolutely like straight away, 30 minutes every morning and like hit all of your food. You're not crazy dropping calories. Do you know what I mean? It's not crazy, but it's clean. You're not having any Five Guys. You're not having any like saturated fats. You're not having loads of fat. You're having everything precisely perfect.
What is the calorie deficit from the get-go?
For me, I dropped I was on like 3.8 thousand calories.
Right.
And then when I started my prep, I was on, I think about 2.7.
That's quite different.
So it's quite a drop, quite dramatic. And then also adding in, obviously, you got your cardio that I start straight away. Because what I tend to do is, what I try and do is I push cardio high at the start, try and burn as much fat as possible while I still have fat to give me energy.
Yeah.
So if I'm in that state where I'm like pushing, I'll be able to get a lot off quickly. And then when I get to a bit deeper down the line, when I'm on, 1,500 calories or something like that towards the end, I don't have to do cardio because I've lost that majority of fat. And now I'm in such a deficit that it's still doing the job.
Right. Okay.
So making sure that's the way I do it. I go very aggressive because I feel like it's the best way. You have the most fat, the most energy. You're just going to sort of lose fat, but you're going to keep your energy because you're using the fat and your food's still high. You're doing a lot of cardio, a lot of expenditure, but your food's still there. And then you obviously slowly drop down food. And then in an ideal world, you drop food and then reduce cardio.
Yeah.
Keep your steps in and stuff like that. You do like 10,000 a day minimum. Can get up to like 14,000, depending on the person. Some people do like 20,000 because they just prefer walking over cardio and stuff like that. Or they prefer food. So they have more food and just do more cardio. Like that's the way some people work. But for me, I like going hard out the start and then easing off towards the end, because then you go into the show, you look a lot more fresh. Like it's very easy to tell when someone's going on stage, they look worn out. Like they look absolutely.
Is that not how everyone feels? Like
you feel
towards the end of
absolutely. Absolutely. There's no feeling great. You always feel awful. But it's the way your body looks.
Yeah.
So it's not about how you feel, it's about how you look. Like some people, what they do is they go really hard. Is what I did last year. I went 12 weeks and I was still doing cardio 4 days out.
Right.
And I was battered.
Yeah.
Like battered. I was on like trace carbs, so I had no carbs in the day. I just had trace carbs from whatever food I had, like protein and lettuce. And then I looked not run down, but I just looked a bit more dead.
Like gaunt.
Sort
of like zapped.
Yeah. And then you get some people that look really refreshed and really good because they've not been doing cardio for the past 6 weeks and they've just had lower food. And some people even, they get to a point where they can up their food because they're at that point already where their body's just, the metabolism is just burning. And especially like enhanced athletes with like thyroid medication and stuff like that they take, it means that your thyroid's still working, your metabolism's still going, nothing's stopping. Your body's still working overtime, but you're in such a low amount of food that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever had any like negative, like bad negative effects from obviously doing the vast weight cut?
I would probably say the only negatives that I really get is I get my legs get very heavy.
Right.
Like very heavy. Like it feels like you're walking as a chore. You get no sex drive. That's gone. Absolutely gone. Like for the last 7 weeks, there's nothing there. Like,
why is that?
I think because your body's just in like survival mode.
Yeah.
It's the last thing it's thinking about right now. Like, there's the issues I have is my emotions. I just lose them. I just go very like no emotions, and that's the good thing about my girlfriend that does also compete is she understands it. If I had someone that didn't compete and didn't understand it, would be near impossible.
Difficult, yeah.
Because trying to like, even my girlfriend at that point towards the end of last year, she's like, "Do you even love me anymore?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I just have no emotion." Like I'm just sat there like that, like
a zombie.
Yeah, literally, and like there wouldn't be much affection because it just wouldn't even be in my mind. Like normally you go home, you go, "Oh, feel lovey-dovey," and a bit of a hug or whatever. I just sit there. I'd just go home and sit down or eat my next food.
But it's like, it's not even a case of like you can't even force yourself either. No. It's just, there's just nothing.
There's absolutely nothing. Like you can you can try and be a bit more affectionate, like in the fact of like doing little things like buying her flowers and stuff like that to show that you still do think about her. But it is very hard. Like emotionally, I just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you're not there. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels like you're just existing.
Like in terms of like the long-term effects, do you ever worry about the long-term effects of like obviously doing the weight cuts? Because I remember when I was studying about it, you have a lot of, well, potentially you could have like a lot of cardiac issues. Have you had anything like that, or do you worry about any of the long-term effects?
No. I don't even think about it, which is probably not great. No, I live very present. Right. Yeah, I don't really think about the future much.
Do you like it that you invested that much that it's just...
Yeah, it does. I know the side effects. I know what the potential risks are, and I've chosen that. You know, it's one of them where I'm like, it could happen. But then the way I see it, the way I've always seen it, is it's like, for example, people smoke their whole lives, don't get cancer, like lung cancer, and then you get some poor bloke that's never smoked, never done any drink, gets cancer, and it's like, it's all luck. It's all. It might happen, it might not. You know, and that's the way I sort of see things to make myself feel better.
What do they call it? Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I love that. What's the most you've ever cut in in a short period of time?
Weight.
Weight.
Weight-wise.
What's the most you've ever cut?
My weight is very weird. So when I'm very different to other people. When I cut, because I'm not on it in the off season, I sort of stay the same. I drop good like 10, 20 pounds or so.
What's that in kilos? Like
10.
10, yeah.
So it's about half, isn't it? Around that. So I drop sometimes more, 15 probably kilo odd. But a lot of the time I'll stay the same weight, but every week I'll look better because I am putting on muscle. Obviously being enhanced, that obviously has a massive effect on it. But seeing the fact that like I train, I hit every micronutrient, and I go to bed, get good rest, recovery because I'm not going out. My body grows while I'm in a calorie deficit, which people say is impossible. It's not. I don't care what anyone says. You can grow 100%. If you're hitting your protein and your carbs, and you're still getting carbs. Like it's not like they cut. And towards the end, you do obviously you're just maintaining. But at the start of it, you can easily put on muscle. easily. And I reckon every time I cut, it's funny because I cut and then when I rebound after the show, I'm way heavier than I was when I started the cut before.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Why is that?
Because I put on muscle.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So because I put on muscle in that time cutting, when you then put the fat on as well.
Yeah, it's like you're overloading.
Yeah. So before, like, for example, when I started this prep, I was 186 pounds, which is, I don't know,
it's like 90 or so?
85,
yeah.
85-ish, yeah.
Something like that.
And then now I'm 90.
Right.
And seeing that difference, because I struggle in the off season to put on weight, and I know it's because I just don't hit everything. If I hit everything, you could grow so much more. I could be so much bigger than I am.
When you say hit everything, you mean training everything?
Yeah, training, protein, sleep, every factor. Like if I hit everything to a T, I could be a lot bigger. Because when I do it in prep, when I'm actually on less food, I grow.
Yeah.
So it's one of them where it's like I come back after a show and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 10 pounds heavier than I was last year.
Yeah.
At this point, like after my shows last year, I'm now 10 pounds heavier than that already. And then you've got a whole off season to then grow again, which I don't do much of.
Yeah.
But
without hitting any like extreme behavior, what would you say is the number one way to lose weight?
I would say just it's all about calories in versus calories out, really. If you're having less calories, then like making sure that you're in a deficit. That's all it is. It's as simple as that.
What's the best way to train for it? Like in terms of, obviously to go with that's the diet side of it, but what's the best training to sort of?
I'd keep it the same. I'd keep training the exact same. I'd keep it intense, keep pushing the weight. And especially when you get deeper into the cuts, you've got to try and maintain what you're doing. You don't want to be doing less weight. You don't want to think, oh, I'm tired or I'm a bit weaker today. No. You're putting the weight up you put last week up. And if you drop it by a rep or so, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. It's when people the issue you have is when people go into a calorie deficit, they train not as hard because they're tired. You train just as hard, you will keep the muscle and you'll lose more weight. That's just as simple as it is. And people overcomplicate it. You just got to make sure you train heavy and hard and intense. And if you keep that while you're in a calorie deficit, that's the best thing you can do.
So kind of going back to it, your online coaching, like what do you offer your clients that most personal trainers don't?
24/7 support. So, well, obviously when I'm sleeping, I can't quite respond. But a lot of the time, like throughout any day of the week, you send me a WhatsApp message, I'll be responding within like I'd say 15 to 20 minutes. I'm always on my phone. So I always respond. So if someone has an issue while they're in the gym, I'll be able to get back to them straight away. Whereas if a personal trainer, or if they're at home, for example, and they don't know what to do about food or something like that, or they want to go out, and they send me a message saying, is that okay? Can I do this, this, and this? And I go, well, why don't you try this? Still go out, but maybe have your food before and have a little bit out rather than having like a takeaway after you piss or whatever. So that's sort of the way I would say it's a lot better in the fact that you have that constant support rather than just having them for that 1 hour. You have them the whole week.
The whole time, yeah. So they can sort of check in as and when they want.
Yeah, of course.
What are some of the first things that you say to your clients, like when they turn up? What are some of the key things that you lay the foundations for going forward?
The hardest thing I think with it is I try and say to them, just trust me. Follow what I'm saying and trust me. Because if they don't trust you and they don't follow what you're saying and they're like, why isn't it changing? If you're following everything I'm doing, it should be changing. But people don't follow it. They do little things that don't follow it, and then it makes the difference. So I just try and keep it crystal clear, saying if you follow what I do, you'll get to your goal. If you don't follow what I'll do, I can only help you as much as I can help you. If you don't listen, there's nothing you can do. So I just try and keep it. But I'm very blunt, straight to the point. If you want that goal, speak to me. You know, if you're struggling with something, just speak to me. Because having that, being able to have that conversation with someone where it's like, okay, well, he understands, he gets it, helps me then go, okay, I'm doing this for a reason, and I'll explain why I'm doing it, and then they have a better understanding. But if they just sort of go off on their own and just say, oh, I'm not going to message him, I'm just going to go do this, and then he checks in with me and he's like 5 pounds heavier, and I'm like, what's happened? Just speak to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm very just be open. Tell me if you mess up. Tell me. Everyone messes up. It's human.
How often do you get people messing up versus succeeding?
It's probably more common than succeeding.
Mm.
You get a lot of people that they do like a month or so, and then they just go, I'm just going to do it myself. And then you don't get much out of it, if that makes sense, because it's like, you're not following what I'm saying. I can't help you. But if you do follow, obviously, like I said before, you will get to the goal you want to be at. And I think a lot of people, they get too scared. They get scared in the fact of like...
Scared of what?
Speaking to me.
Oh, right.
So like they get scared of like being honest, how they're feeling. Like, oh, I did Chinese last night. I'm not going to tell him. He won't know. Just tell me. I love a Chinese. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love having food. And if you do, it's fine. Like, I would just say, oh, do this today, do that. If they're like, a lot of people, they get loads of water. And on the elite level, if you have like a takeaway or whatever, you will gain water weight and it'll make you feel shit the next day, and you'll be a bit more sluggish. What I do is, like, for example, there's loads of little ways you can get rid of water weight. Make sure the next day you drink more water, and let's say before you go to bed, you have a bit of extra vitamin C. Just makes you flush your system out a bit more. It's a side effect of higher doses of vitamin C, basically.
Yeah.
Just do that. And then if they just told me that, they'll be able to do that the next day, and then they'll probably drop 3 pounds.
Have the negative effects that
exactly.
that they would have had. What are some of the key traits that people that do succeed in your program on this fitness journey? What are some of the key traits that they exhibit?
I would say like consistency. They want it. They get that passion for it and that drive, and they see the results, and they're like, I just want to keep going. And then also, like I said before, being open. The people that be open and honest, it makes it so much easier, because otherwise you're guessing. You got to guess, oh, why is he up 4 pounds? And then you're thinking, have I done something in this plan that's made him gain this much weight? Is he on too much food? And then you lower his food, but it's actually just because he's had a Chinese. It's got nothing to do with the food. He doesn't need lower food.
Yeah.
So I think when you have the people that have the open transparency, it's so much easier because they're just open and honest with you. So I think that's a key thing, main thing.
Who is the easiest demographic of people to work with, and who's the hardest demographic of people to work with?
Easiest is like bodybuilders, obviously, because they already know what they're doing.
Goals.
Yeah, exactly. Hardest is probably like people that want to do it, but I think it's just unmotivated people, really. Like, people want to do it, but then they get to it and it's too hard. You know, they don't want to do it. They can't be bothered. And I think if that's one of they're like, I'll get a coach and he'll sort me out, but they don't realize that you just have to follow what they say. Like I said before, it is very like, it's the hardest thing to do is coach people that don't do it.
Whereas like some of the main, like obviously like that you receive a lot of feedback of these people sending you videos and whatnot. Where are some of the main issues that people go wrong in the gym in terms of the training and stuff like that?
I'd probably say with the training is a lot of people, as I touched on before, intensity. They don't have that intensity within their training that keeps them wanting to go. And also people overthink form and stuff like that. So like, oh, I did less weight today, but this and that. And it's like this, and I'm like, send me a video. And they send you a video and it's like, you could have done the exact same thing with a lot heavier weight, like a lot heavier weight.
Yeah, you just do it because it's easy.
Yeah, literally. So like, they're like, oh, I did an extra 2 reps. And I'm like, what weight did you do? And they were like this. And I was like, what did you do last week? And they were like, heavier. And I'm like, why have you done that? Just progressive. You need to progressive overload, you know? Even if it's the same weight, 1 more rep, perfect. So you're progressing. But if you're just doing something that's easier, like, oh, I'll do a bit lighter today, and you're not progressing on any other fronts, like, it's not all about weight, but it's like when they want to take an easier day sort of thing, when it's like, you just got to keep doing the pushing hard sort of thing. Yeah.
In terms of the diet, like what kind of diet plan do you stick to optimize muscle growth?
It depends on the person. I just make sure that there's loads of around protein. So scientifically, all the scientific studies, they say around, I think it's like 1.3 or 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And then you get bodybuilders that do about 2 grams per body weight. But obviously scientifically, I do scientifically, to be honest, I do like 190 grams of protein. But I know people that do 280
per day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's what I do on my, like when I'm prepping and you're cutting, you probably up your protein a bit more and lower the carbs. But if you're in just like a main gaining sort of phase, keep the protein around 200 or so, and then up your carbs. So I'd say that's probably the most, making sure you hit your protein and then your calories.
What are some hacks that you have for like obviously getting that protein source in? Like what are some foods that maybe a lot of people don't have that you have?
I do a lot of Greek yogurt. Like before I came in, it's bad. I have 500 grams of Greek yogurt, which is like
half a litre.
Yeah. Which is like
shoveling it.
Yeah. I love it though. Like it's 50 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that hard to eat. I just love some blueberries.
Oh yeah, if you put stuff in it.
Yeah, blueberries and that, and I find it quite easy. It's like, one of the little pots that are like that big, for example, like one of them. I don't think that's that hard.
Yeah.
I could eat a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I'd say like Greek yogurt is up there because it's natural as well. It's very good. Protein shakes, obviously.
What kind of protein shakes do you have?
I use isolate.
Right, okay.
I like isolate just because it helps me digest it a bit easier and doesn't sit too heavy. I tried peptide as well, which is like a mix of all of them. Right, it's like whey, isolate. That's decent. I don't like whey personally as much.
How do you know?
It's good, but it's just yeah, it's just obviously isolate's a lot more expensive. That's the only issue. But yeah, no, any sort of whey protein does the job. Yeah. And people go, oh, it's fake. It's made in a factory. It's literally got the best. It's literally made for protein, right? So it's got all of the BCAAs in it that you need. It's got everything you need in it that you probably can't get from some sort of animal sources as well. I think that's a very big misconception, is they think, protein is not as good as real food. To a degree, obviously. But I would definitely stick to having more real food.
Yeah, definitely.
Like 100%. Like I try and get most people to have more real food than
like protein shakes and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
What other supplements do you take, and like what do they do for your body?
Before bed, I take like zinc and magnesium. Helps me sleep a bit better. In the mornings, omegas, omega 3, joint health, heart health, massively. You got to make sure you get the right GDA on them for heart health wise.
For those who don't know what.
GDA and FSH, I think it is, are what's in omegas. And if you buy them from like a normal Tesco or something like that, you'll notice, it says it's got 3,000 omega in. But if you look at the FSH and GDA, they're very low. Right. And you need, if you're like in a bodybuilding situation where you want to keep your heart healthy, especially if you're enhanced, you need like a good like 200 total. And normally they're like 20 in like the normal ones.
Right. Okay.
So you got to make sure. I've got some from Morrison's where they actually say heart health on them instead of joint health, and they have higher amounts of GDA and FSH in.
Right. Okay.
And I take like 4 of them, which is a lot of omega. Yeah, 4 of them a day. So a lot of people only take 1, for example, but they don't realize that they actually need a little bit more than what it says.
And then what other things do you take?
Obviously your multivitamins, and obviously the dark side of things as well.
Can we go into the dark side?
Absolutely. I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah. Here at the Truth Temple podcast, we've got a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Please help us out and subscribe at Truth Temple podcast. Did you take creatine, by the way?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Right. So what? Obviously, so you're not natural.
No.
So what do you take?
So testosterone year round.
Right, okay. In what form?
I take it's called Test 400, so it's a mix of Test enanthate, Test propionate, Test sip, which are all different types. So they're different releasing esters. So enanthate is sort of like the medium half-life. Propionate is short half-life, like 1 to 2 days. And then sip is 12 days half-life.
Right.
So I have a mix of them. A lot of people just do enanthate, which is probably the better thing to do because it's very consistent. So if you jab that twice a week, I do 2 injections a week, it keeps it very stable. It keeps testosterone levels stable, rather than if you have like just Test P. If you did Test P propionate twice a week, it will just spike
up and down.
Yeah. And then that's not good for you. It doesn't make you feel good. Your body doesn't love it.
Right.
But yeah, so I sort of keep that at a point where it keeps everything stable. But depending on like if you're on a health phase or if you're blasting, I cycle it so I don't ever come off.
Right.
So what I do is I do like a health TRT. So testosterone replacement therapy, where it's at a base where it's the exact same as what I'd normally be at. So that's around, I think it's like, what is it, 17 to like 30, no, more than that, nanomole. Yeah, way more than that. So I sort of sit at that when I'm in my health phase. So after I've done a prep where I've been obviously way above the natural levels, like 4 or 5 times above the natural levels, you then come back down to the natural level, let your body rest, recover, because obviously having that high amount of testosterone obviously has its side effects to it. And if you run that year round,
what were some of them side effects?
Thousands, not thousands, there's loads. Like heart health, cardiovascular, hair falling out, all types of cancers, so many negative side effects. Yeah, don't think about them. Ignorance. But making sure if you stayed on that year round, the way I see it is so if you do like a 12-week cycle, for example, you get a lot of, and you do lower amount of tests. That's the way I've always done it, sort of thing, is I've done lower than other bodybuilders, let's say. If you do it for 12 weeks, you're a lot less likely to get bad side effects from it. As long as you manage your estrogen well and stuff like that.
How do you manage estrogen?
So you got to check. So I get bloods done. So I do at the start, I do it when I'm like on my TRT, see what my estrogen to testosterone level is. And then when I'm in my blast, where I'm doing a lot more, I then get checked again when it's meant to be your bloods at your worst, for example. And then basically that will tell you that, let's say I'm taking loads of testosterone and my estrogen's through the roof, which is not what you want. Yeah. You want it at like a balanced level. You then take, there's multiple ways you can do it. There's a drug called Proviron, which also lowers your, lowers your estrogen. So you can take more testosterone, but you take Proviron, it lowers your estrogen. Obviously that has its own side effects as well. So it's very, it can lead to a lot where I take this to fix this, but then that
causes that.
And then you got to take that. So, yeah, exactly. So you can go down a very big loophole with that. But what a lot of people do is they take testosterone, they take Mastron, or they take Primo, which are DHT derivatives, which means it lowers your estrogen. So they sort of, if you add Mastron in, so let's say some people do like a 1-to-2 ratio. So you have, let's say, just random number, 300 milligram of testosterone. You then do like 100 milligram or 150, half of your in Mastron or Primo. Yeah. And then that balances your estrogen.
Estrogen and testosterone. Okay.
But everyone's different. So someone could have like, I know a friend that I have who is massive, right? He does 75 milligram of test, which is nothing in bodybuilding world. Like TRT for people is around 100.
Yeah.
So that's normal level. But if he takes anything above 100, his estrogen goes
spikes.
Yeah, massively. Right. And it like you can get gyno. There's loads of side effects to it. So he sticks really low. Then you have some people that can run 1,000 milligram of testosterone, no side effects at all. Estrogen's completely fine. So it's so person dependent.
Yeah. You have to like constantly monitor like the status of it.
Yeah, 100%. And like if you first start it, you need to check how your body reacts. Because you could be having 300 milligram of testosterone and you could be at natural levels. Which is crazy because like you have some people that like, for example, my mate that has literally taken 70 and he's on way above. It's just how your body absorbs it and then takes it in, sort of thing.
How expensive is it?
Not that, I don't think personally. So for example, if you do 300 milligram a week, which is a pretty solid dose like of just testosterone by itself, a vial costs about £4.
£34.
And that's 10 mil, 300 milligram. So 10 weeks. So 10 weeks is 34 quid.
Not too bad.
So it's not bad. It's actually not bad.
And what is the difference like between you being completely clean versus that? Like what are the actual benefits?
So I'd say there's a lot of benefits in the fact of like recovery, muscle growth, obviously all that side of things. But with testosterone especially, makes you feel great. Like it just gives you that energy boost. It gives you that sort of, you do feel like a bit of a teenage kid again. Obviously, when you're younger, you obviously have the same sort of side effects of that. But I notice a lot more energy, a lot more like feeling upbeat, and you feel motivated. It's really weird to say, but like you feel when you go back down to TRT to like normal levels, you feel a bit more like a bit more sluggish. So that's why people obviously when they're older they go to TRT. So you get older people that their testosterone naturally drops to really low. I think it's over 30. Like when you get to like 30, it starts to decline a little bit. And then people at like 50, for example, they then jump onto TRT just for health. So because you want your testosterone at a point where if it's too low, then it's going to cause you like negative effects massively on your body. But then if you have it too high, same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
But if you keep it at the same like normal level, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you start that young like I have, it's a bit risky because if you then come off it, your body might not produce it ever again.
Yeah, because I think that's a scary thing that I've seen is like once you start taking it, when you come off it, there's like there's almost not a readaptation a lot of the time.
Yeah. So the chances of you like actually being it depends obviously person to person. Some people could absolutely blast it, come off within a month or two, be completely fine. Their body's producing it again and everything. Or you could have one person that does one jab when they're a kid, or not a kid, but like when they're like in the gym, they're let's just do it for a bit of fun. I won't have any side effects. They could literally do it for like 3 weeks, come off, and then their body for the rest of their life can't produce testosterone. So they have to inject for the rest of their life.
That's crazy.
So there's obviously like little things you can take to help you try and kickstart making testosterone again. But yeah, it can just all go.
But in terms of when you're competing and whatnot, what percentage of people are natural versus unnatural?
I do untested federations though.
Right, okay.
So it all depends on what federations you do. Obviously, there's tested and non-tested. Non-tested like UK DFBA and all these other ones like drug-free bodybuilding. Obviously, they're all drug-free. But the ones I do, and the bigger ones like when you get to the Olympia, the pros, the IFBB, I say maybe less than 1% are natural.
It's like your Chris Bumstead and all them people, they're just on unbelievable gear.
Well, it's like same as Joe Rogan, for example, like we were speaking about earlier. He's on TRT.
He's on TRT.
Yeah. He's on growth as well, which is a massive thing in bodybuilding now in the past couple of years. But it's same as like movie stars. I don't think people realize a lot of that. A lot of movie stars are on steroids.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. A lot of that have to be one. Like, they've got such a short span to like, gain that muscle and all that stuff. Get in shape.
So I think it's a lot more common in this world, even not in bodybuilding. You go to the gym, and I was speaking to my mate, and it's like, you don't realize how many people are actually on steroids in your gym. They don't look like it, but they are. Yeah. Like, there's so many people, many.
It's kind of like nights out and stuff, because I've been in the gym since I was probably 15, 16. Yeah. And I've been offered it a lot of times, and like I've seen people doing it and stuff like that. Like it is a especially depending on where you go and stuff. Yeah, but it is a very common thing. But just sort of peel away onto a different topic. Like, who were some of your like role models growing up? Obviously, when you were getting into the bodybuilding scene, who were some of the people that you looked up towards?
I loved all the old Gymshark and all of that sort of stuff. So like David Lade. Jeff Side, all of these people that are sort of, they do it for fun. Their videos are just them and their mates messing about, going to the gym, having fun, and like just that sort of people. I think they really motivate me because they're just doing what they enjoy. They're the exact same as me. They're just kids after school going to the gym. Obviously now they're millionaires and famous, but like it's just so it motivate me so much because they're so like me. They're so similar. I feel the exact same way. Like I go to the gym with my mate to lift and have a good laugh and have some fun. That's exactly what they did. They just recorded it. Yeah. And they always motivated me. It wasn't anyone like big in the famous world or anything like that. It was just YouTubers, like little people that love going to the gym and having a laugh. They motivated me, and like I look up to them so much and see how well they've done for themselves through just going to the gym and having a laugh.
Yeah, just having a laugh. What's been like the hardest time for you in terms of like the periods in your life where you've been perhaps training and whatnot? What has been the hardest period in your life?
Training wise?
Yeah, well, in terms of the gym and whatnot. And how it's helped you?
Probably say the past month, which is crazy.
Why is that?
So obviously like leaving my job and stuff like that, I didn't realise I went into another job and then I left that as well because that was not what it was made out to be. And being in that situation where I just felt so low coming out of that competition prep where I had got really big goals this year, and I was like, I just wasn't ready. I wasn't mentally in it. Coming out of that, you then have no goal, and then don't have a job, and then don't have anything. I just felt so lost. And like going to the gym wasn't even in my mind. I'm only just starting getting back into it now, to be honest, the past couple of weeks. It was about a month or so of just no training, nothing, so down. It's the first time ever that it's happened to me, because before I'd always just go.
Right.
Like, I've never had any issues.
What do you think the difference was?
I think this time it was the fact of like, I had nothing to do. I obviously left job, stopped prep, and then it just all went like, I just felt so unmotivated, so, I don't know, down. I just felt really down, and I got in a you get in that sort of mindset where it's just sort of like, oh, I don't want to do it, and then you get in the same cycle, and I just got in a cycle where it wasn't good for me. I was so just sat at home playing on Xbox, playing God, brilliant.
It's not a Warzone.
No, rank play, don't worry. Like, I did that for so long, like I just didn't even want to go outside.
Yeah,
and luckily my girlfriend's helped me a lot the past couple of weeks, just making me go outside, making me get back into routine, making me go to the gym.
Yeah.
And it's really, and obviously now getting a job and getting back into routine, because before then you have nothing. I had no routine because I stopped prepping, so I didn't have any like, oh, I need to do this, need to do that. And I lost that routine, I lost that drive for everything. And I think that's probably my biggest struggle ever. I've had a very easy life, I can't lie to you. I've never had any issues at home, never had anything like that, struggling wise. Moving away, past 2 years, like living by myself since the age of like 18, completely fine. And then just that has just hit me like a brick wall, really, the past couple weeks. And now getting back into it, it feels good to be back.
Yeah.
But it happens to everyone. It really does. And I think people need to understand that sometimes, that people do struggle. And you realise who will actually be there for you when you do struggle. Because obviously I've never struggled before. So like, having my friends and all of that, you see who the real people are that actually help you get to the other side.
Yeah.
So that's nice, seeing who my actual friends are, sort of thing as well.
Yeah, it's a learning experience, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned a minute ago about your partner, Chantel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how important has she been for you, like when you've been struggling?
Massively. Like, just, I'll sit there and I'll try and make excuses to myself or whatever, and she'll just sit there and go, no, that's an excuse. And then she goes, no, you're coming with me. Or just little things, and like, even just helping me get out, do stuff, and get back, making me realise how much potential I have. I think I lost sort of like, after like stopping competing, I was like, I just felt like I wasn't in bodybuilding anymore. I just felt like I was out of it. And she's like, look at you. Like, come on. Like, there's so much potential. Like, this is what you've loved doing for years. Why all of a sudden has it just stopped? And it was just all in my mental head. All in my head. You know, like, I was just overthinking it in my head, overthinking everything. And it just made me sort of, her telling me a bit reality, just going, stop it. You're in your head. You are just absolutely overthinking everything here. And then hearing that and getting someone to go. And then I had my best mate as well, who was just like, he was training with me since young.
There's the same one in the high school.
So this is a different one. So I trained with him for like a good 2 years. And then my best mate started coming to the gym with me. And then he trained with me the whole time I was home until 18, 19. And he just goes, no, he's been with me. He comes to every show that I do. He comes out of his way for anything. Like, if I need him, he'll be there. And having someone like that to just sit there and go, mate, I've been with you for 10 years. Like, we've been mates for 10 years. And he's like, you have so much potential. Get out of your head. Come on. And having someone just reality check you, I think that's a massive thing. And having both them people reality checking me and just saying, come on, get on with it. And sometimes you just need that.
Yeah, for sure. What's some advice that you'd give to people who are probably just broaching a similar spot right now?
I would say just try and keep your head up, keep looking, keep positive, and keep doing stuff. Keep going outside, keep socializing. I isolated myself, and that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Make sure you go out and speak to people, speak to your mates, tell them how you feel. Don't keep it to yourself. Like, it is the worst thing. The first 2 weeks when it first happened, I didn't tell anyone, didn't speak to anyone. I went on holiday, and then just didn't speak to anyone. Let my thoughts just get me overwhelmed, and then came back and I started speaking to my friend, started speaking to Chantal about it, and then we sort of like, from there is when it started improving, because I was speaking about how I felt. So I think that's the main thing, is just making sure that you open up, because it happens to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's what people forget is like, no matter who you are, what background you come from, I think you all go through like a rough spot at a time.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely solid advice. Do you have a quote that you live by? Like what like sort of teachings do you live by, or do you have a specific quote that you live by?
Teachings wise, I just think I feel like you will make it no matter what if you put your all into it. I think consistency. I say this to my girlfriend so much. She loves her Instagram, and like, for example, she'll post a photo or she'll post these really good reels, and some of them will get like 50 likes, and she'll be like, oh, I give up. I just want to be there. I'm like, if you keep consistently going and just consistently doing it, you will make it. There's no way you're not. As soon as your Instagram picks up the algorithm, or in anything, in your work, in anything, as soon as you just keep doing it, someone recognizes it, you will get there. You will get to that point you want to be at. I just think you got to put your all into it and just go with what you enjoy. Yeah.
What do you think is more important? Do you think more mental strength is more important or physical strength?
Mental. All day. All day. Why? You can go to the gym as much as you want, but if you're mentally not strong enough, then you're not going to get anywhere. Like in every regard of life, because the gym isn't going to get you anywhere. Just going to the gym does not get you anywhere. Like, you could look amazing, look great, but if you don't post on social media, you don't do any work, you don't do anything outside of that, it gets you nowhere. Like, there's nothing to it. But if you have that mental strength to go, okay, I need to do this, need to do that, need to do that, need to do that, you're going to do it because you have that mental strength to do it. But if you're just physically strong, it doesn't mean anything. Literally nothing.
How would you build your mental strength?
I think it's resilience over time, and telling yourself. This is the way I do it. I've drilled this into my girlfriend ever since I first met her. We had very different views on the way things are, very different. And she's sort of understanding the way I do things now is that I sort of always look at the positives, and I always just try and push everything I do. No matter what I do, even if it's bartending, just for fun, I will push as hard as I can to do it, and I'll enjoy it. Because why would I do something half-assed? What's the point in that? I don't see a point in doing something not to my full capability. I think that's one of the main things for me, is that building your mental strength is just keep going. No matter what, just keep going.
Yeah. We always wrap the show up with a question on the truth. So our question today is, what is the most important truth that one must tell themselves when improving their health and fitness?
Repeat that, please.
So what is the most important truth that a person must tell themselves when improving their health and fitness?
I would say the truth that you need is that every day, if you do it, you're improving. So keep telling yourself, if you've done that day and you've done the gym, you've done what you needed to do, you're improving. Even if it doesn't feel like it, doesn't look like it, you've improved. You've hit them small goals. You've done something. That's an improvement. Every day, if you keep going in and out into life, and you keep ticking them boxes, you're improving. And I think telling yourself that every time that you do it, making sure you know that you're doing something positive every day is the best way.
So what's next for you?
In life?
Or your goals that you're there in the next 6 to 12 months?
6 to 12 months. Get massive. No, obviously grow. I want to win an international show.
So you've won a national one, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then you want to go international with it?
Yeah. So I've won a couple national shows. I then came fourth in one last year in the international.
Right.
And then this year, I want to win an international show. That's my goal for this year. I want to push my social media, push my coaching, be more on it with social media because I'm horrendous. And just enjoy life. Go travel, go have some fun. I'm still young.
Yeah, of course. And where can people find you?
On Instagram.
On Instagram, and then you're coaching as well.
Yeah, it's all on my Instagram on the link tree in my bio. Yeah.
But what is your Instagram?
Alex Gammons.
Yeah,
just my name.
Brilliant.
Nice and simple.
Perfect, Alex. You've been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this video and you want to see future videos like this video, then like and subscribe and follow the Truth Table podcast.